everybody. Welcome to our weekly virtual lunch hour. I'm Gillian Graber, Executive Director of Protect PT, and today we have our guest Lois Drumheller. She's our newest board member, board chair of Protect PT. And we also have Kathleen Brosseau, our environmental scientist, with us, going to talk to us about a couple of things. And then LeCuyer, our project and outreach coordinator. So say hi, everybody.
Howdy.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
Good to see you all.
So we're going to talk about a couple things. I'm really excited because it seems like people are responding really well to our lunch hour, and we're going to keep doing this. So you'll see that we're going to have some great programming coming up. We're going to have some guests on, other local people working to protect their community, and we're excited that we're going to bring you some really fun virtual content. So keep an eye out for that. What I'd like to mention too is if you have some questions today or things that you want to talk about, please comment, and because we can see your comments, and I'll pop them up on the screen, and then we'll be able to discuss those as we go on. So please comment on our live video, and if you see this later and not live, and you want us to talk about different things, or you have specific content or questions, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook. Feel free to reach out to us on our website or by our email. We have an info@protectpt.org email that we check on a regular basis, and we can route your questions to the appropriate staff member. So I wanted to mention too, this is the start of our membership drive. So we have an exciting membership drive scheduled for this month and next month, and we had initially started it to start on our anniversary in April, and so we're a few days late, but certainly right on time. We have some great prizes that we're going to talk about with our membership drive probably next week. We'll talk more about that, and I'll show you what you could actually be entering in for if you become a member. So new members and renewing members as well. And we want to encourage folks to ask their friends to become members, their neighbors to become members, because together we are stronger. So the more members we have, and more neighbors get together and work together to make our communities stronger and safer, the better off we all are. So I also want to mention our new website. And so that is up today, protectpt.org. Check it out. It is definitely a work in progress, I have to say, but we're working really diligently on providing that for you. Some really great content. I'm going to put it here so everybody can see, protectpt.org. And if you like our new website, that's awesome. Let us know. If there's things that you think we could put on there that we don't have currently, let us know. And it will be a work in progress. You'll see some changes in the coming future, but the new website is really beautiful. We had a tremendous help from a volunteer in the community help us look at this website. She did first an audit of our old website, and some of you may have taken a survey to find out how you're using the website, what you like and what you don't like about the website, and all of that is incorporated into this new website. So we took all of the comments from that survey, all the feedback we got from the community, and put it into our new website. So definitely go check it out. It has a brand new look to it. It's a little bit more modern, and it has a cleaner and easier to read look. So definitely check that out and let us know what you think about our website. So first, we're going to kick it off. Anne has something to talk about, and then we're going to talk to Kathleen, and then we'll go to Lois. Sound good?
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. I just want to give one brief update that I hope everybody will take action on to help our friends at the Concerned Ohio River Residents Group and all the people along the Ohio River. Which is a drinking water source for 2.3 million people. Right now, a company called 4K Industrial has applied to put in a barge terminal to accept radioactive fracking waste and other oil and gas waste along the Ohio River. And they've submitted that permit to the Army Corps of Engineers. And Red Sierra Club has put together a petition to go to the Army Corps of Engineers that you can sign. And we'll be posting the link here, and I'll post it on our Facebook after the video today. If you could just go there and lend your support by signing this petition and let them know that this would be a huge risk to people that have to drink from that water and the life that has to live in that water. And along with this barge waste terminal, they also have proposed 6 injection wells along the Ohio River. So this waste would be coming from those wells. And also a large amount of the waste that will be going into the Ohio River would be coming from Pennsylvania, since we're the second largest producer of Marcellus gas in the country. And so you can visit the Sierra Club petition, tell the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers no fracking waste barge terminal on the Ohio River. And like I said, it's posted in the comments here, and we will have it posted on our Facebook page. Thanks for listening.
Great. Thanks, Anne. And we're going to kick it off over to Kathleen.
Okay, and Gillian, still on mute. But hi, I'm Kathleen, environmental scientist. I know we're all very concerned with the current pandemic, but one thing that some people may have not considered, although they're taking as many precautions as possible, is the local air quality. And local air quality is actually a big concern, since this is a respiratory illness and it is transferred through respiratory particles, and there's now some evidence that those particles can adhere to the regular particulate matter in the air. So if we are having a low air quality day with high particulates, your risk may be higher than if we are having a good air quality day. So even though you can take as many precautions as you need to, it's also a good idea just to check the local weather and see what the air quality for your region is for that day before you decide how much time to spend outside. And that's just something I want to put out there for people to consider.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Kick that back to Gillian, and I'm actually going to log off, and you guys can email me at kathleen@protectpt.org if you have any questions or concerns about that. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Thanks so much for that update. And yeah, I think that air quality is something we sometimes don't think about, because it's not, sometimes it's colorless, and if you don't see smoke, sometimes you think, oh, it's a good day to go outside and have some fun. But always keep in mind the air quality, and we've got some great air quality monitors around Pittsburgh and in our region. So take a look at those resources online, and if you have questions, contact us. So thanks so much, Kathleen. And I'm going to start with some questions for Lois. Hi, Lois. How are you?
Hi there. I'm fine. And yeah, just like the American Lung Association says, when you can't breathe, nothing else matters. I'm all about that.
Yeah, and actually, Lois has a great background. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that background that you have, Lois?
Well, let's see. In my first year of retirement, I can now reflect better. My real career, aside from working my way up from not knowing whether I'd ever go to college to going to vocational school and then transferring into a community college, which back in those days was called a junior college, and then eventually going and finishing that, I've been a respiratory therapist a majority of that 43-year span. And I got my training in education. In fact, I did a lot of my growing up in Florida. I lived there for 30 years. And so that's been my background. But I was very lucky to be trained in Florida. I will mention that my first instructor was my husband, not at the time, and I wasn't an A student. But I actually, Florida is a very good state in its licensure of individuals who are in the medical professions. And during the very early 80s, we were all working towards state licensure. People know about nurses. They don't necessarily know about the respiratory care profession. So as a respiratory therapist, that's where that took off. So, and then of course that led to other things in education, and which is what I finished the degree in after becoming a registered therapist. So the past 12 years before I just retired, I did diagnostic work. And that means I would perform quite extensively tests on the lungs, and they were called pulmonary functions. And that's actually what I did up until this last June. And during all that time, though, I became professionally involved in the profession. So there's that hierarchy of being a member of your professional organization, which is a really good thing for people to do. And a lot of people still don't do that. You need to be involved professionally in your organization. They really, you know, a lot of the reason that people don't know about respiratory care now today is because it's not politically been infused the way it should be in all the states, like nursing and like physical therapy, but you know, we're definitely there. So anyway, I carry that forward because it transfers into many, many, many things I became involved with environmentally.
Great. Thanks for that that bio. That's great. And we're so happy to have Lois on our team. She's our new board chair. And so she's been really helpful these past few months with the new, you know, starting in the beginning of the year. Every year we have an election where we elect our board members, who are all volunteers to help our organization keep running. So we wouldn't be able to run our organization without them. And we've had some wonderful volunteers over the years be members of our board. And we're really happy that Lois is now on our team. And so Lois, can you tell me, you know, how you found Protect PT and why you thought you might want to be involved?
Sure. That would be around 2009. And that is at the same time that one of the things I did locally here was to run for municipal council. I won a council race in the time that was an unexpected thing. It was like an unexpired term. Anyway, that same time I began going to the library for various things. Monroeville Public Library is an excellent place to meet people and learn about things. One of the things I discovered after meeting Alyssa Beck was Sustainable Monroeville. Now, it's not a 501c3 organization, never has been. It's been what I call a ragtag group of people who show up at the library, and we're concerned with what had been patterned after Sustainable Pittsburgh, but Alyssa Beck decided to call it Sustainable Monroeville. And so we had a lot of educational speakers. And I got a chance to see one by the name of Gillian, and you spoke to us. I can't even remember. It might have been 2012, 13, something like that. As you were getting organized yourself, and I learned about Protect PT there. A lot of the things that we wanted to do aligned with what you were already doing, and you were showing how you were doing that and giving this talk. I said, "Gee, I may want to join this organization to learn more because I can want to do all of these things locally, but I need a little background information on how many ways do you spell that out?" And that got me interested primarily. So I became a member that night.
Yeah, and I remember you had shown up. We had a meeting at the library in Penn Township. I remember, and it was actually one of the first meetings where Anne, I think, was also there. We were discussing how to look up notifications on eNotice and eFax for the DEP website. And I remember you being there, and I thought, boy, that lady is super smart. And then we hadn't heard from you for a really long time. And then it just so happened that I knew that you had been member of Monroeville Council, and I knew that that you were somebody I wanted to connect with, but it didn't kind of connect the dots until I saw you at the Sustainable Monroeville meeting, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's Lois!"
Before that, yeah, that's right.
That was several years ago. And so I was so happy that, you know, when you said you would want to come on and volunteer and potentially be a board member in the future, I was really excited because, I knew just from talking with you that you were the type of person that really would be able to kind of help us move forward with our mission and everything. So I was really excited about that. And I'm going to just post a little chat here. We're having some great conversations. Please, if you have comments or questions for Lois or Ann and I, please put them in the comment section on our Facebook. We would love to hear from you guys. So then you were, now you're the board chair. And so tell me a little bit about what kind of maybe what your expectations are as board chair, or what are some things that you really are looking forward to doing this next year?
Well, a lot of I'm still in a learning process about how this all works in terms of virtually. I mean, we're all in this different phase now of, for instance, there were projects that started when I was on council that I wanted to do as a member of council that had to do with, let's do a community project. Let's take some of the skills that we learned from some of the things that Sustainable Monroeville speakers talked about, and the type of things that we ended up doing was a garden in the back of the public library. And then I brought one of the gardeners with me to that meeting that you and I saw each other in Penn Township. But it's always a learning process. And there was a lot of hands-on, let's see what we could do to community food banks with this garden. And now I see that, knowledge and these days is power. And the stuff that you have at your hands, if you are lucky enough to have the internet. And, a lot of people aren't. They depend on the once a week Times Express that comes to their door with their mail and local news, but they don't often understand what's going on in the background of their environment. They look on their phones and they see that, well, that's a bad air day. Why is that? But they don't necessarily connect the dots as to what may be going on, why the air clusters in one area, what are the industries, how close are those industries to where I live? And so I already had experience from training as a clinician that it's always education, and you have to tie it into what the things that build on what you know. And a lot of people, I think, would be interested in that based on what they know and what is in their personal ability to interact with that community. So I see a lot of what we offer is a catch up of what's going on in your backyard. How does the air quality, how is it affected by fast food versus what we call a slow food versus fast food movement? And why is it feasible to have things grow in your own backyard that you need, or have chickens or any of those things? What are the municipal laws that are over this? Do we have ordinances that protect us from this? All of those things can be explained either in person with what you're doing on a weekly virtual lunch hour. I think that's great. And yet you have to keep it relevant to what people do in their own personal spaces, because everybody is alone but together. And so I see that the programs that you've got rolling already are making progress toward that. It's a matter of distributing it out to the people with whatever they have at hand, to whether it's an email or a webinar. And these are terms that are going to be new to a lot of people, but it also is going to empower from what they know to what they can do and what they can feel productive about. And boy, do we ever need to feel productive today. We need to do that.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, Lois, because we try to meet people where they are. Not everybody's going to be able to have technology, and hopefully at some point, they can catch up with us. They could catch up with us by phone. They could call us. I mean, we send out newsletters. A couple years ago, we had one of our members tell us, I'm not on the internet. So we started sending out like paper newsletters, because that's what the feedback from our members were. or was at the time. And so we're still doing that today. So every season we'll send out a new newsletter just to let people know what's going on, because not everyone's going to get email. Not everyone's going to be online. And I think that this pandemic has really highlighted the fact that not everybody has access to the internet. Not everybody has access to the technology. We talk about this in our nonprofit circles all the time. Are we going to have a generation of young people that missed a year of school or missed a semester of school? Are those people going to be less educated? And especially the folks that are already dealing with issues of poverty or issues of not having the access to internet, not having the access to the technology that they need. So these are definitely things that we think about on a daily basis, and we're excited to bring the resources that we can to the folks that we can. And I think really quickly, we got online and started thinking about what resources were available. Anne was kind enough to put together some resource pages for us on our Promote PT page. So if you go to promotept.org, a lot of the resources are available there. It's just really a comprehensive list, from education to mental health and everything in between. And if you have something to contribute, if you have a resource that you know about that we don't have listed, or if you know someone that needs a resource, and if you have a community member or a neighbor, go check on them if they're elderly, make sure they're okay, see if they need groceries, and, go ahead, Anne.
Let's say, can I add something?
Yeah.
Today I learned that if anybody doesn't know about 211, you can dial 211 and they provide you to direct services for food, finance, and health. And something new they've started is that they will come and get groceries for those that are elderly and can't get out to the store. They're offering that service now, so people don't have to pay to go through Instacart or something. They can, they're not charging, and people can come directly to them. So that's another new resource we're going to add, make note of.
Great. And what organization is that through, that 211? Do you remember?
211's through United Way.
Okay.
And they have people staffed there. They've put extra staff on, they've said, because they're getting a lot of calls. They said the biggest calls they're getting are for where's the food bank. So they said it went up from it was something like 18 to 180 calls a month about where to find a food bank. So
wow.
The need is there, and they're trying really hard to provide for it. And they encourage everybody to call 211 to see if they have resources for them. So.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, so these are the types of things. Oh, awesome. And here, I'm going to put this up here. This is actually, Promote PT is another branch of our organization. And so we have this pop up here from Promote PT. So, follow us on Facebook there as well, because we're going to cross promote a lot of the information that we have, to both sites. So we have and so Lois, what is the most important thing Protect PT from your perspective brings to the community?
Well, there's this thing in education that lifelong learning, but that entails making people aware of pretty much what you were just discussing. The most important thing I think you can do to a community is to get them to understand these aspects that are part of how they can help their neighbors. There's a lot of restriction on that now in terms of how you do that. There are a lot of mixed messages like how to do that, but we all need to be stepping up and showing what we can do. That was the intent of that garden when I was on council, that what we were really doing was to serve food banks. And we produced like 800 pounds of produce in a season that went to 4 different community food banks around Monroeville. And Monroeville is the gateway to the eastern suburbs. There are a lot of people in Monroeville that need to become aware of organizations like Protect PT. Protect PT, I think you've got your ducks in the row. on the approach of doing that. And I give you kudos, all of you, because I think you're ahead of the curve in how to do that, simply because you're younger. You younger people have figured out these ways to get information out. And you know, what we're going to need to do is enlighten ourselves as to how do we get through the next few years. The economy is going to be affected by this, and we need to understand how to conserve. And you know, that reaches whether or not you're on the left or the right of the spectrum, because the original intent of conservatism was to entrust in our land trusts. We're all coming out of that, and what we did with it and why. Well, it was for the public good, and it was for generations to come. And that worked its way into our Constitution in our state. Article 1, Section 27. We're entitled to that. We're in a tough spot now. How do we get through that? We get through that by showing how to. You can do that. You know, even though you miss the tactile stuff in education, there are a lot of to-do things on the list that Protect PT is trying to help you do in your neighborhood. And it doesn't take a whole lot of money. It does take learning, and lifelong learning is what we're supposed to do anyway. I suppose that's the only way that I can describe it now, because there's many ways to do that.
Yeah. And so I think that, you know, you touched on an important thing, and we're having a conversation with some folks and other nonprofits yesterday. One of the things that we were talking about is that with COVID-19, you know, when we start to open up businesses again, when we start to be to be less socially distant, is there still going to be a need for us to be in long term thinking about socially distancing ourselves, you know, in the long term for the long haul? And so one of the things that we were talking about is how can we continue to do a lot of the programs that we have been doing. We've been going out and installing noise monitors and air monitors with neighbors. And, you know, how do we do that in a socially distant world? Because we want to be able to still provide those resources to our members. Just one of the many resources that our members have the ability to get the noise air monitoring and the water or air monitoring as well. And how do we do that safely? You know, keeping our staff safe, keeping the community safe, as our main purpose. So, you know, some of the ways that we talked about is, really developing an instructional document and a way to design an instructional format that allows everybody, you know, to do this type of hands-on learning, but from a distance. Because when we were actually scheduled to go to Washington County before all this COVID-19 stuff happened, we were scheduled to go that week out to Washington County because there's a gentleman that lives around a compressor station and wanted us to come and measure the noise out there. We also had someone from, I think was it Beaver County, Ann? Beaver County contact us and said, hey, you know, I would love to have noise monitoring here. I'm having health impacts from being at home more because now I'm at home all the time. I'm not going to work. I'm not going out. I'm at home. And so if your home is where a lot of this air pollution or noise pollution is occurring, you're actually going to be getting a larger dose of that than you normally would be because you are staying at home, working at home, and as well as your family. I know that I had an air quality issue, when we first moved to Westmoreland County. And it was really, I think, part of the reason why my daughter and I were so impacted by it, and my son as well. He was in half-day kindergarten. She was at preschool at the time. We were at home. I was a stay-at-home mom. We were at home all the time. And so we never got out of the house. And so we were having many health impacts because of that. But my husband wasn't experiencing the same things that we were. So it's really interesting to kind of think about the infrastructure that's in place now. How is it going to be more detrimental to the community because of where we have to be at this point? And how do we advocate for better protection for those community members? Because, we're dealing with sometimes municipalities that have really kind of let all this happen, and if they've already opened the door to the industry and said, come on in, build your pipeline, all this stuff, build your build your compressor station, we're cool with it. And then now they're finding that community members are really having major impacts. How do we reconcile that? How do we go back? There's no going back and saying, oh, the project can't go forward. It's already done. And in some cases, a build out that started really small and a municipality said, yeah, you can build this. The build out actually ended up being much, much larger. We have a compressor station in Murraysville, our neighboring community in Murraysville, that a couple years ago got the okay from the municipality to go ahead and expand, as well as FERC. And that was a major compressor station expansion. They're still expanding it right now. And there was someone that was at the hearing, and they had said, they're telling you that it's not noisy, and they're telling you that it's not smelly. And I know that it is, because I live across the street and I can't imagine what it's going to be with all this expansion. And so we actually went out and did some noise monitoring for that neighbor. And we found out, we went to go install the equipment, and boy, it was so smelly. I felt nauseous after leaving that home. Mm-hmm. And so what I realized is, something has to be done here, because something's not right. So we actually ended up asking that neighbor to call the DEP and complain about the smell. And they found 11 leaks at that compressor station. And the industry then said, well, we're going to be good neighbors and fix those leaks. But really, the facility need to be really looked at more thoroughly, because we had actually went by with Earthworks then a couple of years ago. Earthworks did their FLIR thermal imaging camera. They brought it out there, and we saw what was the methane that was being released, the emissions that were being released from that facility.
Yeah, there's a use of technology there to let you see. The naked eye doesn't pick it up unless you put it underneath this FLIR camera, the infrared. Right. Yeah. And the whole approach to that, my grandmother would say, many hands make less work. So if it's air quality monitoring, which I know Kathleen is involved with, there doing the science on that end, and noise, and I know you've done noise studies. I, as an individual, when I visited the Oakmont Library, they were having training there for ALARM, which is spelled with 2 L's, but it is an acronym for the water quality measurements. And even though I was informed, because that comes through a grant through Dickinson College, I think, in the middle of the state here, I haven't been monitoring because there was sort of a suspension of it during the months of March and April. But I invite anybody to contact me, because when I do my May quality water testing, what I do is I go down to one of my favorite parks, which is Boyce Park, because I live in Monroeville, close to Plum, and Boyce Park is a stone's throw. And I go down there and I take, a water quality measurement. And I've invited people before that when I do this, it's an easy enough task shown. It could be done. You could keep safe distances, keep your masks on, keep your gloves on, and watch how it's done. And then hopefully they're going to get that grant renewed this year, and or somebody else is going to come in and enable all of these things to be monitored, which is just one of the many things you can learn, and it's not brain surgery.
Yeah, I'm going to unmute myself again. Sorry, I keep muting myself because there's a lot. The
Yeah, yeah.
the garbage truck just came by, and we've got a lot of noise in the house. But yeah, so we are still going to be doing our monitoring programs. We still are going to be working with our organizational partners. We actually talked with some folks yesterday, and we are going to have some really amazing virtual events coming up. On the 21st, and I don't have all the details, but on the 21st, Physicians for Social Responsibility, they're putting out a wonderful education piece, and we're going to try to cross post it. Instead of our virtual happy hour that we normally have, we're going to feature their education forum. So take a look out for that. We also have an author, the Liza Griswold. She won a Pulitzer Prize for her book Amity and Prosperity, and so she's going to be coming on, sometime in May, actually May 27th, to speak in the evening at 6:30. She's going to speak with us, and we're going to have a discussion about with potentially some community members. We're still really hashing out a lot of the details, as well as maybe another author from the New York Times. So this is pretty awesome, pretty big for us that we can get some awesome people on our lunch hour and in our virtual events. We're really excited, and we hope that some of our community partners will also come on and talk about the work that they're doing, because we would not be here and be able to provide a lot of the resources and have the knowledge that we have if it weren't for our community partners. 5 years ago when we started organizing with Protect BT, really early on, so many organizations stepped up and said, yeah, we have these resources. These are, we'll teach you how to do this. We'll teach you how to do that. And so many people just really stepped to the plate and taught us what we needed to know. We had really a crash course in everything having to do with fracking, everything having to do with air quality. And we've maintained those partnerships and relationships for the last 5 years. And we're just so thankful that we have those folks to work with, and now we're so happy that we can provide those resources, for our community as well as other communities. Our noise pollution monitoring program is one of the only ones we are aware of in the country, and so we're developing other technologies to help aid in our noise monitoring. And so we invite you to engage with us. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, follow us on our newsletter that we send out every month. We send a newsletter, and then we'll send out communications about upcoming events and things like that. And please become a member. There is a donation button. There should be a donation button underneath this video, right there, right at the bottom of the video. And so please donate to us, because members like you are going to allow us to continue to have these resources for the community, and allow people to learn how to protect their family and learn how to protect their kids while they're at school and when they're at home, when they're at the playground, to understand what air quality means to a family, means to children. Children react to air quality issues differently than adults do. They're not just little humans. There's special things that happen, because they're still developing. They're not able to filter out those chemicals like adults are. And, so there can be some long-term damage that's done there. So we want to make sure that our most vulnerable populations are protected, as well as the elderly. And so I encourage you, if you have some elderly neighbors, to find out if they need those groceries, find out if they need the resources, tell them about the 211. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
You'll have that I'm sorry, Gillian. You'll have the 211 information on the Protect PT website?
We have it. That's a good question. We have it on our Promote PT website, which is promotept.org. I think we also have it linked from our Protect PT to Promote PT website. We kind of think about these two branches of this organization, as a Venn diagram. There are, Protect PT is very focused on fighting fracking in our community. But Promote PT really is focused on what do we do after that? What do we do next? What do we do to replace the energy that is the fossil fuel energy? What other resources are available? And how do we make a sustainable economy? So
Yeah.
that's what Promote PT is. And how do we do that safely? So, yeah. Do you guys have anything else to talk about?
I was just going to say that was a very wise thing as you were developing Protect PT. There was a realization that we're fast approaching a different era here, and you need to be thinking not only how do we protect, because after we've pretty much convinced everybody how to take care of our planet because of the necessity of having to face that now, how do we promote the wellness and the way to live that it's not far of a departure from the way that used to be? How do we do that? Well, then you've got that as part of your mission and vision of what to do in this organization. Isn't just stop being anti this or that, and make it come back to what should we be in the future? How can we work toward that?
That's right. And actually, yesterday we were having a conversation with other organizational leaders in Westmoreland County, and the topic of baking bread came up. And so we were like, we shared a recipe, and then I just planted my lettuce seeds. That was actually another thing. We got a bunch of lettuce seeds for folks that donate, and we actually still have some. So if you become a member or if you donate, you'll get a pack of lettuce seeds, because one of our members that passed a year in March, he loved lettuce, and he loved to share his lettuce with his neighbors. So we thought, what a great tribute to be able to give lettuce seeds to our neighbors. So we still have some left, a few left, and I bought some online because I love fresh lettuce in the summer, especially these days. You hear about lettuce being contaminated. It's got E. coli or other contaminants in it, and they say stay away from lettuce. So I always like to grow it, and it's so easy to grow. I mean, I just have a little window box on my deck, and I just sprinkle the seeds in, and then they grow. I cut them, I pull out the roots, I sprinkle more in, and I've got more salad. So something to think about. Some of these things that we could be doing ourselves in our own homes that would increase our resources and decrease the need for us to go outside the home to get those things. Yeah. So we've got some great stuff coming up next week and the week after. We are at some point, I don't know when, we're going to be introducing you to our intern staff. So over the summer, we've got some great interns that are going to be joining us and helping us out with some different projects. We've got some environmental science interns. We've got water quality data analysis interns. We've got a legal intern. What am I missing? We've got some computer science interns. We've been able to, because of COVID-19 and social distancing and some of this virtual technology that we have, we've been able to pull in interns from all over the country that we wouldn't really kind of think outside the box, usually with interns, but now we're just like, it's pretty awesome because we have one of our interns is in Mississippi. We have an intern in, I think, North Carolina, and then some local folks too, some great local people as well. So be looking out for our introduction to them as well. And they're going to be starting their orientation, and we've got a crash course for them. They're gonna over the course of 2 days learn everything about us and what we do, and how they can help out with the organization over the summer.
Excellent. That's excellent. There's a lot to do.
There is a lot to do. We've got tons of projects going on. And was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we get off? And I think maybe we'll just get off a couple minutes early here.
I just wanted to say thanks again to Lois for joining us today. We really enjoy having you with us at Protect PT.
Take it easy.
Wow. We appreciate your insight and your perspective on things. You bring a lot of new stuff, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I'd also just remind people to please go sign the petition. I posted it on our Facebook for the Ohio River Valley Barge Terminal.
Mm-hmm. Great.
For those with just a telephone who want to make a difference, you know that you can look up all of your local and state and federal legislators. They may not be in their offices. They may not all wear their masks when they're in front of their podium, but they certainly are able to be contacted, and that's your power, and it's our planet.
That's right. Yeah. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Lois. You bring certainly a great perspective to our board. We're so happy that you're with us on our board. I think just the meshing together of all of our communities, everyone knows that the air pollution does not know municipal boundaries. That's one of the reasons why we're Protect Penn Trafford and not Protect Penn Township. Like some people think, oh, the PT means Penn Township. No, because honestly, the air doesn't even stop in the school district. It goes, it's going to go to Monroeville, and we've got some stuff that's planned right on the border there. It's, it's going to go into Murraysville, and then the stuff that's happening in Murraysville is going to go into Plum. We're all connected, and I think that if we work together to protect ourselves and really question things that are happening, that we are going to be better off. We're going to be a better society for it. So want to thank you for joining us today, Lois. If you guys have questions or comments to make, please continue to make them. Please continue to ask us questions online. We will be sure to get back to you. You can go to our new website, and I may try to pull it up here real quick.
I wasn't sure you can do that. Okay,
I'm gonna try. We'll see. Because we have some time. Nope, that's my bread recipe. Hold on.
I was also going to say while you're looking for that, and I know that Sustainable Monroeville, or I as part of Sustainable Monroeville, they still have meetings at the, it would be virtual meetings, but they donated a copy, one, possibly two, of Amity and Prosperity to the Monroeville Public Library. Now, somebody will have to tell me, because I know that there are 2 employees that are functioning at that library. So Monroeville has maintained that, and you may want to check that out to see whether you can electronically order that. The paper, the hardcover book was donated there. And I do believe you can get it that way as well. I'm not sure the methods, though. Somebody can correct me on that.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. We actually donated, on behalf of one of our members that recently passed, we donated a copy to the Penn Township Library in his name. So there is a copy at the Penn Township Library. There's a copy at the Monroeville Library. We're also going to be giving you resources on how you can buy it online. We're trying to connect with some local bookstores as well, to make sure people are aware of these local bookstore resources, trying to promote our small businesses. And we're also trying to connect with other organizational partners to bring this book event to you. So look out for that. This on our screen, you can see our new Protect PT webpage. So please go check it out. We've got an amazing video that one of our volunteers put together for us. We were super happy to have a volunteer do that. A really wonderful young budding video artist that put that together for us. So check out all the resources that we have here on our page. And if you have suggestions, we are always up to suggestions. That's why we have the updates to our website like we do, because people like you said, hey, there's some certain things that we would like to see on that website. And so we tried to fulfill those obligations. So I think that's it. thank you guys so much for joining us today. And I hope you enjoyed our broadcast. And we will be here next week at noon on Facebook live streaming. We're going to post everything on YouTube as well. So check out our Protect PT YouTube. Everything's going to be posted there so you can rewatch it. Keep joining the conversation with your comments and reactions, throughout the day, throughout the week until we have our next meeting. And my cat says goodbye as well. She's been meowing at the birds all day.
We were getting ready to put the paw under, from the opposite side of my laptop over the, I was being distracted by that, but she's gone.
So thanks everyone for joining us, and have a great day. I hope you enjoyed our lunch hour. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.